All right, welcome back, Oliver. Love this question. I love the answers I get more. Influencers come in all shapes, sizes, some of them, colors, languages, some for a split second of time and some for a long time. Can you share with us some, two or three people that have been influential in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I'm very, very blessed because I've had a lot of people who've influenced me a lot and had great impacts. And I think of myself as kind of a mosaic of all the things that they've left with me. I love this question. Let me start with my grandparents, and I use them together specifically for this because they were kind of intertwined. They were together for about 70 years, and they had, by the time I came along, been fused like the trunk of a tree that you would find in the rainforest, a gigantic trunk, kind of hard to separate the two. But Baruch and Annette were their names, and the two of them, you would never have said, like, just find Annette. Like, it would be find Baruch and Annette. It became one word in the family. But I bring them up for a few reasons. So, kind of whichever way that you look for inspiration, they provided. They were the epicenter of the family, very close. They actually lived across the hall from us when I was growing up, and so their table was open. They convened the family frequently, and they were the definition of intellectual curiosity. I mean, my grandfather, who we'll talk about later, was a Nobel Laureate, was also kind of a polymath, and my grandmother too. My grandmother was extremely well read and very gracious, and by far, by the way, the hostess of the two of them. And so you learned warmth and openness from coming to the events that they constantly were putting on, whether it be 100 people for New Year's or just the family dinner. And it was always interesting. You never just were, kind of talking about nothing. You were talking about something portentous, or you were learning something at their dinner table. So that was really important. I learned a tremendous amount from their relationship as well, and what it means to be intertwined and to be a partnership. And in fact, it's a little bit sad for me to recount, but my grandmother passed away, and my grandfather was fairly healthy. They were in their, 89, 91. And my grandfather told me that he was, that he had no real reason to stick around, and not that he was going to take anything, take any action, but that he wasn't going to be here for much longer. And he said, 60 days, and day 61, he passed away. And again, peacefully, but just they were one, and that was an amazing thing. And then the last thing I'll share with you about them is, what I've talked about so far is the impact they had on the community around them and the family. My grandfather was a Nobel Laureate, which, by the way, he would have told you right off the bat he never would have achieved without Annette. But here's a person whose immunology research resonates today, and I run into people today who tell me that they're an immunologist, and when I tell them who my grandfather was, they are flat. Right? I mean, he resonates deeply in this area, and every immunotherapy you can think of, all the people whose lives are being saved from cancer and other things, derive from the seminal research that he did. So, if you wanted a influencer who taught about family, openness, knowledge, education, achievement, impact, these are the two. So yeah, let me leave it there. I have a few more that I can share if you want, but those two were really deep influences for me.
That's amazing. I had another lady tell me about the grandfather that cured for carbon monoxide through oxygen and also amazing stuff. But that's spectacular. But if you want to throw in one or two, we got a couple of minutes. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, totally. I think two others I'll quickly share with you for different reasons. Sorry, let me kill I can't have the sound on without having the sound down. Sorry. We can hopefully edit this. So two more just great examples from my life. My parents I bring them up for a particular reason. Both are very senior physicians and scientists, and what's been really amazing to see is that they have celebrated each other and goaded each other on as professionals for my entire life. So I've watched them both achieve very significant heights in their fields. My dad's a cardiologist. My mom is an OBGYN radiologist. But their kind of competition reinforces. And the fact that they have supported each other, both being professionals and thankfully had the resources to also raise a family, but to be present with us, and we used to have dinner as a family every night, is really amazing. So that example of how you can have a real partnership, with my grandmother and grandfathers. My grandmother was supporting my grandfather. With my parents, they're equally talented and accomplished. And then the last thing I'll share with you is I have my great mentor in my professional life is Eric Hatzimemos, who's the first name partner of my firm. And just the thing I'll share with Eric is Eric has a way about him that is incredibly engaging. And I came into, as I recounted before, I came into work thinking like culture, relationships, what is that? I'm really, and I want to learn to be good at X. And what I rapidly picked up from Eric is that almost all things are possible if you have great relationships and you treat people with respect and they believe authentically that you care about them. And that is something that I have carried through the rest of my career. Eric has given me most of the major breaks I've gotten as a professional. And so, I honor him as a great influencer as well, but mostly because sometimes you want to look for something that someone's really good at. They're really good at, building companies, financial modeling, whatever it might be. Eric is just good at people. And it dawned on me through my relationship with him how very important that is.
Man, I'm so glad we had you on the Leaders Who Care series, because you show how that sets the whole foundation for everything. And that's actually, not to sound too dramatic, a legacy of influencers that keep it going. And it's so important to our community beyond everything else, really. It's rest on that. So thanks a million for sharing that. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Mark. I really appreciate being a part of this and for all the work that you and the whole team do. It's really inspiring, and I'm so glad to count you among my friends and colleagues.
You got it, man. Thanks so much.
Take care.